Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Naruto was born in DXD world as a devil and fall in love with Rias. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Prologue. The devils were once ruled by 5 most influential clans. Among them the leaders of 4 took the reins of the underworld and became the 4 great Satans. They were Lucifer, Leviathan, Beelzebub and Asmodeus. The 5th clan, Uzumaki, said to be greatest among them, chose to live in isolation. Uzumaki's said to possess bodies superior than all devils, accompanied by a healing factor. Their skills in sealing so legendary it was speculated a skilled enough Uzumaki could seal even the gods, and the amount of magic power possessed by even a child. Uzumaki could make high-class devils go green in envy. The ability to create near indestructible chains and the skills in Uzumaki showed with a blade were just the icing on a cake. Their abilities lead them to be feared among all the factions. In the Great War, Uzumaki were ruthlessly hunted by both angels and fallen angels. They were even betrayed by some devils. Uzumaki, no matter how great they were, couldn't last against entire factions, and by the end of Great War only the daughter of leader Arashi Uzumaki was left of a once great clan. After the death of 4 great Satans and the god of Bible, the war ended and a pseudo-peace was established. The descendants of great Satans, thinking they could conquer all factions, wanted the war to continue. Many wise devils understood that further war would only lead to their extinction, rose against the descendants. Devil were divided among 2 factions. Those who wanted war joined the old Satan faction, while those who opposed it formed an anti-Satan faction. Kushina understood what a war was capable of and wanted no more of it, so she chose to side with the anti-Satan faction. A civil war among the devils erupted. The war finally ended with the defeat of old Satan faction, and the names of 4 great Satans became titles. 7 people on basis of their battle powers and intelligence were elected to become rulers of underworld. These were Circex Grimori, Graphia Lucifuge, Ajuka Astaroth, Falbium Glacia Labelas, Serafal Citri, Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. Minato, even though a half-devil, rose through the ranks and became the fastest devil alive, earning the moniker, Yellow Flash. His use of his self-made technique, the legendary Hiroshin, to wipe entire battalions earned him the reputation of a demon on battlefield. It was speculated that Minato was most suitable for the title of Lucifer. He elders of many pillars who did not wanted a half-devil to rule them opposed it greatly. Things escalated quickly and it was feared that another civil war was imminent. Minato, not wanting to be the cause of a civil war, withdrew his claim on the title. As a result, Circex became Lucifer, Ajuka became Beelzebub, Serafal became Leviathan, and Falbium became Asmodeus. Graphia was beaten by Serafal in a duel for the title of Leviathan, while Kushina, who had no interest in ruling bigoted idiots, withdrew her claim and instead married Minato. When her friends confronted her, she claimed she didn't have the patience to deal with elders and that they were better as leaders. She claimed that she would rather make sure that the Uzumaki clan continued, as it was her duty as the last Uzumaki to make sure the will of Uzumaki was passed to her children. Years passed and underworld became a stable place. Devils rarely conceived children, so to rejuvenate their declining number, Ajuka created the chess piece system, which allowed devil to reincarnate other factions into devils. Since the chance of getting pregnant was really low, Kushina was unable to conceive a child for many decades. Finally she became pregnant, which were some of the happiest moments of her life. Unfortunately her happiness was short-lived, as Minato admitted that his life was nearing its end due to the strain caused by the use of Hiroshin, which was much worse than anyone could have speculated. Through pure will, Minato was able to live to see the birth of his child. Upon birth, Minato named his son Naruto by tying a small 3-prong kunai necklace to his neck and died soon afterwards. Kushina was very weak from childbirth, knew she won't survive, so she asked Circex to take care of her child. Circex was Naruto's godfather, while Serafal became his godmother. Circex took the newly orphaned Naruto to live in Grimori Castle, as he became a big brother just few months later. His new sister Rias became the heir to the Grimori clan. Upbringing. Number 2. Upbringing. Growing up, Naruto was a smart child who had a healthy thirst for knowledge. By the time he was 9, Naruto had already read the entire Grimoire library. Naruto and Rias became best friends growing up, even though Naruto had a much serious personality than Rias, who was that much hyperactive. Naruto was a training freak while Rias loved anime more than training. Rias was the only one who could get Naruto to lighten up, while Naruto was the only one who could get Rias to calm down. It was considered a custom in Underworld for young devils to meet each other regularly. Grimoire were no exception to this custom, so Naruto was well acquainted with other devils his age. He and Saraorg Bale, both labeled as training freaks, developed a loose bond and often took each other to spar, but he, unlike Saraorg, Naruto also loved to train his mental capacity. This led to him becoming a rival of Sona Citri. She was considered to be smartest GIRL among young devils and was unbeatable in chess by the new generation, or at least it was thought so, until one day she was beaten by Naruto. From that day Sona would often drop by Grimoire territory to challenge Naruto to chess. Their matches were always an interesting affair, with Sona using tactic after tactic and Naruto countering it with his unpredictable nature, which resulted in no clear winner being decided till the very end. Sekvera from Agara's family was on relative friendly terms with both, keeping their distance. The only person Naruto greatly disliked was Riser Phoenix. Naruto found out that Rias was in a marriage contract with Riser, who considered her as a property. Naruto soon found out that Riser was arrogant and considered everyone not of Phoenix blood to be beneath him. T's clash in ideology and Riser's treatment of Rias resulted in a grudge to be developed between Naruto and Riser. Although it is not to say that Naruto resented the entire Phoenix family, he was particularly close with the youngest daughter of Phoenix family, Ravel. Naruto spent majority of his free time either with Rias or Ravel. He later discovered that Ravel had no intention of getting a peerage for herself, so upon insistence by her, Naruto promised to make Ravel the first member of his peerage. Naruto from a young age had a curious nature which developed into an adventurous spirit. He used to wander the Grimoire territory searching for things that will interest him. Once on such adventure he came across an abandoned cave. Against common sense he decided to venture into the cave. There he found a beautiful girl frozen in ice. She had long white hair which had a purplish tint to them. This was also observed in her eyes, but her eyes were purple with white tint to them and looked about 16. She had D-cup breasts, athletic built, and looked like a goddess on earth. Upon closer inspection Naruto noted she looked quite familiar to Grafia. Naruto drew closer to the crystallized ice, and upon touching it, he felt the magic in his body stir. He also felt another power within him not felt before, pulse. He subconsciously continued to pour magical energy as well as chakra into the ice. Naruto Ing and Uzumaki already had large reserves, but he felt them running out too. After what felt as an eternity, cracks started to appear on the ice. Suddenly he was blasted away by a wave of compressed magic. Before he could gather his bearings, shards of ice were flying towards him. He instinctually knew that he would be dead if he got skewered by them. In that moment he subconsciously channeled chakra into his ocean blue eyes, which turned into blood red with a single tomo in them. In that instant his magic power too reacted, and a black headband with dragon-like designs in deep purple on it appeared on his head. Using his improved vision he was able to dodge most of the shards and protect his, although was injured, knew that Hose Uzumaki healing will not let him die. Uzumaki had a healing factor while not instant as of Phoenix, repaired their bodies, making them stronger in the process. Naruto saw the girl on the floor between ice. She tried to get up but fell on her abdomen. It was clear she was struggling to move. He was near her in an instant and asked, "Are you okay?" She replied, "Yeah, but where am I?" "You were in Grimoire territory. By the way, who are you?" Naruto helped the girl get up. She struggled to move but was able to show some movement using Naruto as support. She replied, "My name is Luciphage." Naruto quickly cut her off. "Luciphage. Do you know Grafia?" She confirmed that Grafia was her sister. Naruto decided to take her to Grafia and picked her up using some magic. He then formed a magic circle and disappeared. Naruto reappeared in front of Grimoire Castle and Saint Arded running towards Searzek's office where he knew Grafia would be. Searzek was currently in a meeting with Serafal discussing matters of Underworld while Grafia stood by her side. Their meeting was interrupted as the doors flew open with a bang and came a running Naruto. Grafia was about to confront him for barging in like that when she saw the bundle with him. She was frozen there in shock. This reaction was highly unnatural for the usual stoic Grafia, and her intelligent reply was, "What? How?" Searsex and Serafal, seeing her condition, turned towards Naruto and were too frozen in shock. Serafal, in unusual act of maturity, acted fast and took Lucy from Naruto and disappeared towards C3 Hospital. Meanwhile, Searsex confronted Naruto on how he found Lucy. After he explained his story, Searsex explained, "Lucy was on our side in civil war, and in final battle to save us she used a spell which froze her solid. We tried our best to free her but were unable to, so to keep her safe, we hid her in that cave whose location was not known to anyone. To tell you the truth, Naruto, we had lost hope to see her free ever again, and how you were able to free her, I don't know." Lucy recovered. She started living in Luciphage Castle but often visited Naruto. They became very close and were often seen together as she was helping him with his training. Naruto, after research, found out that only Yukai could use chakra, and it was unknown how he was able to use it. Similarly, he also didn't find that how by channeling chakra his eyes changed and his vision improved. He also predicted that the headband was most probably a sacred gear, but what it did was currently unknown. As Naruto continued to train, his eyes changed to have 3 tomo each. Finally, it was the day Naruto would get his chess set as customary. Born high-class devils got their set at 10. Naruto, accompanied by Searsex, Serafal and Grafia, arrived at Ajuka's laboratory. Ajuka greeted them at entrance. "Welcome. So it is finally time for you to get your set." Naruto replied in a yes. Ajuka then asked, "What are you looking in a peerage?" Naruto instantly replied, "A family of course." Ajuka then lightly laughed and replied, "Good answer." He continued to ask Naruto some question on way, and finally, when reached his lab, put the information in a machine which resulted in a pure white chess set coming out of it. Ajuka stated, "Take the set and pour your blood on it while channeling magic through it." Naruto did as told. With magic he also accidentally channeled chakra into the set. Then the most extraordinary thing happened. Naruto's chess pieces divided into 2, with half of them becoming mutation pieces and other changed slightly but not enough to get mutated. All his pieces were black with crimson tint to them. They also had deep purple lines creating patterns on the piece. Searsex asked for an explanation and Ajuka replied, "I may be the creator, but even I am not 100% sure how the chess pieces work, but I do know that each set is custom made and blood linked with its owner to work best for its owner, so technically this happened due to desires of Naruto." They all then returned to their homes. On returning, Naruto told Searsex of his desire to leave and then explained his reasons for whom he wanted to leave. Searsex, at first not convinced, finally agreed. Naruto then left, stating he had some stuff to do and will be back later to say goodbye. He arrived at Phoenix Castle and found Ravel. He told her, "I am leaving for a training journey. I don't know when I will be back. As I promised you, I am here first. So would you like to come with me?" Ravel replied, "I already told you I will become a part of your peerage, so I will go wherever you want to." He then took a bishop piece and gave it to Ravel, who held it near to his chest. He then chanted, "In the name of Uzumaki Naruto, I call Ravel Phoenix, hear my command, rise to become my family and live your life as my bishop, and I shall stand by your side to achieve greatness and lay my life before yours." He then said goodbye to Lord and Lady Phoenix, who was like a mother to him, along with Lady Grimori and Citri. He also promises her to take care of Ravel with his life. Naruto and Ravel then went to the Citri castle. They then proceeded to say goodbye to everyone. Sona asked him to come back so she could continue beating him. He laughed and replied, "They will see." He found Sararog training, who was his brother in all but blood. Sararog asked him to continue training and they promised to fight on his return. He then came to the Luciphage castle. He found Lucy and after explaining situation he asked, "So Lucy, would you like to accompany me as Mew Queen?" Lucy rejected, saying, "No, I would be too much like my sister. I have no intention to become the strongest queen." Naruto laughed and pulled out a mutated bishop and then asked, "What about now?" Lucy giggled and accepted Naruto, then again chanted, "In the name of Uzumaki Naruto, I call Lucy Luciphage, hear my command. Rise to become my family and live your life as my bishop, and I shall stand by your side to achieve greatness and lay my life before yours." The three of them returned to Grimoire Castle and Naruto collected his belongings for the journey. He then came into the hall where everyone was waiting for him. He said goodbye to Lord and Lady Grimoire with Circex and Graphia. He then hugged Milikas, who was like a younger brother to him. Finally he came to Rias, who cried while hugging him, stating she did not wanted him to go. He stated he had to go but he will return. He also promised that he won't let Riser marry her without her consent. After goodbyes he stood in front of gates of Grimoire Castle with Lucy and Ravel with his side. He saw the place which had been his home for the last 10 years. With one look he disappeared via a magic circle not to be heard from and followed only by rumors for years to come. Return. Number 3. Return. Rias sat in a room getting ready for her engagement party. She had been given a chance to get out of her forced marriage with Riser with a rating game. Although her peerage had fought valiantly, they had been overpowered. She, her Queen Akino, her Bishop Asia, her Rook Kaneko, her Knight Kiba and her twin pawns Samantha and Laura had been able to overpower Riser's entire peerage and defeat them, even though they were less in number and had no prior experience of a rating game. She just couldn't overpower Riser's healing, and in the end, to save her bishop's life, she had given up the match. Now she's at waiting to be made a trophy wife with no right to happiness. Her thoughts couldn't help but drift to Naruto, how he had promised to save her, but now she knew it was useless, and how he was not coming. A few moments later she was called. She disappeared and reappeared in a Grimoire magic circle in front of an audience. Her peerage, all dressed but in somber mood, looked at her in guilt. She knew they were ready to bust her out but could not, as she had ordered them to do nothing, as she did not wanted them to suffer consequences for her failures. Her friends Sona, Saraorg and Sikvera were all there, but none of them were looking too happy. As party continued, it was time to exchange rings. She knew it was useless but could not help but wish for someone, anyone, to save her and stop this engagement. When all hope seemed lost, the doors were blasted open. In came a 9-headed hydra so terrifying that many were shitting themselves. On top stood a blonde of about 20 with deep blue eyes, tint of purple mixed in them. He stood at 6 feet, had long untamed spiky hair held by a black headband which let 2 bangs frame his face. His 6 whisker marks and his points canines gave him a feral look. He was highly attractive with muscles which looked to be cut from stone by diamonds, which seemed to be built for as much speed as much as strength. He was dressed in completely black attire, which had red and orange line on borders. On his back was a flame design and kanji of annihilation, both in deep purple. His attire was completed with black long boots and fingerless gloves. His presence screamed power and everyone could not help but be intimidated. With him stood a beautiful young woman of about 20 with long purple hair and orange eyes. She had large D-cup breasts and wore a noble white strapless dress which did nothing to hide her figure. She had an innocent look on her face with a kind smile which did nothing but to increase her charm. Many males were openly drooling at her sight. He turned towards Rias, gave a wave with his hand and said, "Yo, how is it going?" Rias could not believe that Naruto was actually here. He wanted to be angry at him for leaving for so long, but instead tears came into her eyes. She sprouted her wings, moved towards Naruto and hugged him. "Idiot, where have you been? You were always like that, making me worry." Saraorg was excited seeing Naruto and could not help but to get a chance to fight him. On the other hand, Sona and Sikvera could not help but develop blushes on seeing Naruto. Not everyone was happy though. Riser was fuming. His perfect party has been interrupted by this worthless devil, he shouted. "Who are you? How dare you invade Riser's party? Guards, throw him out." As guards started advancing, a booming yet soft voice stopped them. In flames appeared a blonde with dark blue eyes whose presence was of grace and dignity. She looked to be about 20 with C-cup breasts and an amazing figure. She had long blonde hair tied into twin tails with large, drill-like curls and blue ribbons keeping them in place. The front of her hair had several bangs hanging over her forehead, with a V-shaped fringe hanging over the bridge of her nose. She was wearing a purple dress with pink designing. Her gloves were also purple but her boots were black. She spoke in commanding voice, "Don't you dare, I am Ravel Phoenix, a daughter of the noble house of Phoenix. Do not stand in my path." Guards could not help but obey and hurriedly got out of the way. She walked forward towards Riser and stated, "It's been a while, Oni-san, unfortunately I see you are as arrogant as ever." Riser was flabbergasted. His once tiny sister was now a powerful woman whose confidence showed she was ready to take on the entire world, but Riser was more astonished by the fact that her sister had insulted him and became angry quickly. "You dare talk to Riser like that? You may be Riser's sister, but do not think for a moment that you can insult Riser and get away with that." Ravel was completely unaffected and replied in a bored tone, "As much I would like to teach some humility, but it is not my fight, isn't that right?" Naruto then announced, "I challenge Riser for the right to marry Rias." Riser shouted, "You think you can beat Riser? Don't be a fool, no one can beat a Phoenix, much less someone like you." Naruto smirked, "Oh, don't be mad, Riser, how about this? You can even use your entire peerage." Any further conversation was stopped by the appearance of Sirzex, who said, "It's good to see you again, Naruto, and I think that Riser should get chance to earn his honor back. He was almost defeated by Rias, who does not even has any experience beforehand, so by beating Naruto he can solidify his right to marry Rias and get the prestige of defeating an Uzumaki." Riser replied, "If Lucifer-sama wants it, Riser would be honored to put the Uzumaki at its place." Rias was happy to get out of marriage with Riser, but still she did not wanted to get stuck in another marriage, even if it was with Naruto, but then Naruto did something which completely changed her perspective. Naruto announced, "Since I will be the one getting in marriage with Rias, a new contract in accordance to contracts constructed by Uzumaki for generations will be constructed. Its contents would be: 1. The contract will be between Uzumaki Naruto and Rias Gremory. 2. The contract will be activated at age of 17 for both participants involved. 3. The contract can only be activated if both participants agree to it. 4. There will be a probation period of 3 years after activation of contract, and no one can break the contract in that period. 5. At end of probation period, if one of the participant does not want to proceed with marriage, the contract will go null. 6. If both participants agree, the marriage can take place in the probation period. 7. As the male participant is the last of Uzumaki, the female participant should agree on a harem for male participant." These would be all. Rias accepted the contract without second thought. Rias Gremory accept all conditions of contract and also agree for the activation of contract. Sirzex then announced, "The winner of the match between Naruto Uzumaki and Riser Phoenix will keep his contract, while all other marriage contracts would go void, so let the match begin." Riser and his peerage disappeared in flames with the magic circle of Phoenix family, while Naruto disappeared in blood-red circle of the Uzumaki clan to a pocket dimension to fight. Graphia announced, "Graphia Luciphage is a maid of House of Gremory will oversee this match and make sure all the rules are followed. This match is between Uzumaki Naruto and Riser Phoenix, with only Riser Phoenix allowed to use his peerage. Begin." She then returned to Sirzex side, where the magic circle of House of Luciphage appeared, and a woman appeared, a beautiful young woman appearing to be in her early 20s with back-length white hair with purplish tint that features a long braid on each side while the rest is let down, which ends in twin braids, and purple eyes with specks of white in them. She turned towards Graphia and spoke happily, "Hey, Fia-chan, it's been a while." Everyone who didn't knew her were shocked, as a woman appeared out of nowhere and called the strongest Queen Fia, and to further their shock the said person actually smiled and replied, "Yeah, it has been." She then shifted towards screen and was watching the match again. Lucy then went and stood beside Ingvild, who had been standing near a wall after Naruto's familiar went back. Meanwhile Ravel was talking with her mother. "It is good to see you again, Okawa-san." Said woman hugged her and said, "That it is, look at you, you have become a beautiful young woman, so did Naruto took good care of you?" She replied, "Of course he did, we learned a lot together." "Are you both only friends, or are you together?" If Ravel was flustered, she did not showed it and replied in calm tone, "Yes, we are more than friends and are together. To be honest, we have been dating for many years." The conversation then shifted to more comfortable topics. Naruto Unleashed. Number 4, Naruto Unleashed. Naruto stood face to face with Riser's entire peerage. Riser had an entire peerage with exception of a bishop. Seeing Naruto was outnumbered, Riser in his infinite wisdom stated, "I don't even need to move a finger, my pawns should be enough." He then shouted, Mira, a young girl with blue hair and light brown eyes whose hair were styled with 4 short ponytails, with 2 of the 4 pointed up and the remaining 2 pointed down. The front of her hair featured split bangs going across her forehead, with side bangs framing her face. Her outfit consisted of a white haori with a red obi, which was worn under a red happy coat. She wore bandages on her forearms and shins, and also wore black guards over her hands. For footwear, she had a pair of zori. She ushed Naruto with a wooden staff in her hand. She swung her staff with all her might, but to her and the surprise all others, Naruto caught the staff with one hand without moving an inch from his spot. Naruto then punched her right in the chest, and again to everyone's surprise she fainted on spot. An announcement was made: Riser Phoenix 1 pawn retired. Without wasting a single moment, Naruto appeared in front of Sharia, Bulant and Marion. Sharia was a young woman with long pale blue hair and amber eyes. She had tanned skin and was wearing a bikini made up of a metallic underwire brassiere and a silk loincloth that exposed her sides. She also wore a silver-colored tiara and neck rings with a ruby and blue gem respectively. Other accessories that she wore include a ruby orb earrings, a snake-themed bracelet on her upper arm, and a transparent pink veil across both her arms. Sharia, notably, had purple highlights around her eyes, while Bulant was a young girl with shoulder-length brown hair, dressed in a sleeveless French-made uniform that exposed her breasts' cleavage with a white laced design on the edges, as well as a made headpiece, half-apron, and forearm-length fingerless gloves. Lastly, Marion was a young girl with shoulder-length light brown hair and dark brown eyes, dressed in a buttoned, sleeveless, French-made uniform with a white lace design, along with a standard-made headpiece, cuffs, and a white half-apron to go with the set. She also wore light gray tights. Before these 3 could even try to defend themselves, a magic circle appeared in Naruto's hand and huge amounts of water was released with great pressure that struck the 3 of them, who were blown away with water, and a short while later another announcement was made: Riser Phoenix 3 pawns retired. Il and Nell charged at Naruto with Ni and Lee just behind them. Il and Nell were 2 very young girls with turquoise hair, which they keep tied to one side of their head with a yellow ribbon, and blue eyes. Both of their outfits consisted of gym uniforms, which consist of white t-shirts with blue accents, black leggings, and blue sneakers over knee-high socks. They both carried chainsaws which they used for attacking, while Ni and Lee were 2 young girls, appearing to be in their teens. Being twins, they sport similar appearances, with the major difference being Ni's red eyes and blue hair, in contrast to Lee's blue eyes and red hair. Also, Ni ties her hair in a ponytail, while Lee has hers in a braid with a pink bow tied at the end. Due to them being Nekomatas before being reincarnated as devils, both of them retained their trademark light brown cat ears with black stripes. They also wore piercings on their ears, with Lee having 2 gold earrings on her left ear and Ni having blue-colored ones on her right. Similarly, both of them have a fang sticking out of their mouths, with Ni having hers to her left, Lee having hers on her right, thus mirroring each of them wear short skimpy white sailor uniforms that revealed their abdomen, shoulders, and lower breasts, and wore short black skirts. They are also shown to tie their orange ascots in different ways respectively. Also, they wore red and blue fighter's glove and leg guards matching their hair color respectively. Il and Nell tried to skewer Naruto with chainsaw, which Naruto dodged with ease. He then turned 180 and faced Ni and Lee. They tried to take him out with quick punches which Naruto either dodged or blocked. He then fought back and dispatched both Ni and Lee with quick punches to vitals. Naruto charged lightning in his hand and then fired it towards Il and Nell, who had just reached behind him. They both were electrocuted and after a while fell on the floor. Another announcement was made: Riser Phoenix 4 pawns retired. Everyone was stunned on Naruto's display of strength. He had just dispatched 8 people and was not even looking winded. While Riser was seething in anger, he shouted, "You do not make fun of Riser and then live with it. Everyone get him." Mahai quickly charged magic attacks and fired them at Naruto, while Ayazbella and Schwalna rushed towards him. Riser's Bishop Mahai was a young GI-RL who was wearing a kimono with a color pattern of purple, orange and pink with her hair tied on opposite side. Riser's Rook Isabella was a woman with short, light brown hair and gray eyes. Her hair had 3 red highlights across. and wore a plain white mask which covered right side of her face. Her outfit consisted of a black jacket and matching jeans. The jacket had wide shoulders and a wide collar, and featured 3 leather straps on both her arms. It was also slightly open, revealing her rather large breasts and cleavage, and it was cut off at her midriff. Her jeans had a section on her right pant leg cut off, revealing some of her thighs and rear end, and also features 3 leather straps on her calves, just below the ankles, and 2 extra straps on her right pant leg to keep it in place. She also wore black fighting gloves and boots to enhance her blows. While Riser's other rook Xuelin was a well-endowed young woman of Chinese descent with shoulder-length black hair and blue-green eyes. Her hair had 2 Chinese-style buns on both sides of her head, while the front features bangs that form a slight V shape across. Her outfit consisted of a navy blue kippah with gold accents, a white sash around her stomach, and black, low-heeled shoes. The kippah was open at the chest area, giving view to Xuelin's breasts and cleavage. She also wore black armguards over her forearms. She did not wear any undergarment. From the corner of his eye Naruto saw Carlomagné and Cyrus, Riser's knight charging from opposite sides and Ubeluna charging a bomb attack. Riser's Carlomagné was a Ing woman with light brown hair and green eyes. Her outfit consisted of a full set of silver armor with black accents that appears to be a cross between a European knight, chest plate, gauntlets and Eves and a Japanese samurai, hip plates and shoulder guards, and wore a headband that goes across her hair and forehead. She was equipped with a broadsword and a dagger, both of which are held with brown belts slung across her hip. The broadsword is slung on her left hip, and features a red jewel on the pommel and has bandages across the handle for grip. The dagger, which is located behind her hip, features a gold hilt with bandages on the handle. Riser's other knight Cyrus was a tall young woman with long black hair with a dark blue tint and brown eyes. Her hair featured 5 thin ponytails going around her head, which are held up by a golden hair accessory on top of her head. Her outfit consists of a white top with black accents that is modeled after a Chinese cheongsam, red shorts, and armored knee-high boots with matching gauntlets. The top features a diamond shape on the chest area, giving view of her breasts and cleavage. She was wielding a Zweihander in battle. Finally Riser's Queen Ubeluna was a busty woman with long, wavy purple hair that falls all the way down her back and matching eyes. At the front, the right side of her hair falls over her breast and covers her right eye, while the left side falls near the top of her attire was a dress consisting of a navy blue tunic top with gold accents and a pale blue skirt with open sides, black shoes and over-matching thigh-high stockings with garter belts. The top reveals much of her cleavage, and is held with a gold choker with blue and red jewels. Over this, she wore a hide overcoat with black and gold accents and matching pauldrons. For accessories, she wore a black headband with a red-orange jewel over her forehead to keep her long hair in place, and wields a staff-like scepter in battle. For cosmetics, she wears purple lipstick and nail polish, matching her eyes and hair. To everyone's shock Naruto instead of defending rushed and took Isabella and Xuelin head-on. He matched their punches for punches, AC. Oopal of punches had both of them immobilized. Naruto then concentrated and purplish-black chains erupted from ground and covered both of them. Naruto charged extra magic power in them to take care of Rook's physical aspects. Naruto saw a bomb attack and a magical attack nearing him. In an instant he took out his sword which was a black blade. The cross guard had 4 prongs bent out to form the shape of the manji, and finally there were short-length chains coming near the hilt. He swung his sword and cut both attacks in half. In next moment Naruto charged towards Carlomagné and Cyrus. They both charged their strongest attacks while Naruto charged his own. In blink of an eye distance was covered and all 3 slashed. Naruto appeared behind both of them and sheathed his sword. After few moments, Carlomagné's sword shattered while Cyrus' Zweihander was slashed in half. On closer inspection it was noted that both knights also had slashes on their abdomen. Meanwhile Riser's rooks had stopped street ruggling and were now unconscious, so Naruto released them. He instantly appeared in front of Mahai and placed many tags on her. The tags ignited and Naruto disappeared and reappeared in front of Ubeluna and hit her square in the face. She was sent flying. In background an explosion was heard followed by an announcement. Riser Finek's 2 knights, 2 rooks and bishop retired. Ubeluna tried to be Last Naruto, but he gave her no chance. A slash from his sword and she was out. Another announcement. Riser. Phoenix Queen retired. Naruto's eyes then met Riser, who could only look on in fear. He then spoke. Looks like it's you and me, Riser. Riser's momentarily fear was replaced with arrogance and anger. He shouted, how dare you, I will burn you to ashes. Naruto vs. Riser. Number 5. Naruto vs. Riser. Naruto's eyes then met Riser, who could only look on in fear. Riser was a tall and handsome young man in his early 20s with short blonde hair and dark blue eyes. His outfit consists of a burgundy blush, with gold embroidery on the right with matching pants and black dress shoes. Underneath his open blazer was a white dress shirt that is not fully buttoned, just one button short, giving a slight view to his chest. He then spoke. Looks like it's you and me, Riser. Riser's momentarily fear was replaced with arrogance and anger. He shouted, how dare you, I will burn you to ashes. The audience not comprehend how easily Naruto had destroyed Riser's peerage. Even most of the high-class devils cannot claim to be able to do what Naruto had just done, and even more fascinating was the fact had Naruto didn't even look winded after all he had done. Lucy spoke, breaking the silence. Well, looks like King's having fun. I wish he would let me join the party. 2. Ingvild replies in scolding voice. Don't be impatient, we will get our chance, it's his chance to shine. Young devils were watching in fascination and could not help but compare themselves to him. Rias finally had some hope after such a long time. She could practically feel her freedom. Ravel spoke. Looks like only my brother is left. Good thing I made Naruto promise that he won't hurt him too bad. Lucy whined. What's the fun in that? Ravel replied. I do need my brother back, you know. A little more humble would just be a bonus. Sirzex could not help but sweat drop at her attitude. Serafal, who had Ed just before fight began, was watching with a proud smirk. Oh Naruto, how much you have grown. Naruto and Riser stood facing each other. Naruto decided to have some fun, so he taunted, come on fried chicken, what are you waiting for? Riser was easily angered and started firing fireball after fireball. Naruto covered his arms in tuki and was batting fireballs without any effort. Riser did not get the idea and continued firing insignificant fireballs. Eventually Naruto got bored and just started dodging them. Riser got enraged again and decided to fire larger balls of fire which could cause some damage. Naruto quickly pulled out some tags which surrounded him and created a barrier. On Riser's continued assault, the barrier didn't even budge and Naruto almost looked bored. Riser shouted, fight back, you idiot. Naruto, accepting the challenge, rushed Riser and started assaulting him with punches. Each tuki-covered punch had enough force to shatter rocks and crack mountains. Even Enix healing factor was having hard time healing the damage. With an additional punch, Riser was sent flying and crashed into the ground. Riser was having hard time breathing. Flames had already covered his wounds or were working overtime. In the next instant Riser was drenched with water courtesy of Naruto. Normally Naruto would have already ended the fight, but since Naruto had some personal issue with Riser, decided to prolong his suffering. He gave Riser a moment to heal and get up. As soon Riser got to his feet, Naruto brought out his sword, taunting Riser, which he fell for and made a sword out of fire. Riser tried to slash. Naruto sidestepped and cut his other hand. Riser tried to face Naruto with a sword again and again, but Naruto just danced around his blows and gave slash after slash. By the time they stopped, Riser was covered in cuts which were on non-vitals areas and were slowly healing. Naruto in that instance closed the distance and placed many seals on Riser which were activated shortly afterwards. Riser's healing stopped suddenly, with his sword disappearing. Riser tried forming a fireball but was unsuccessful. Riser yelled outraged, I cannot use my fire, what the hell did you just do? Naruto responded, oh, nothing, just a reminder why Uzumaki were so feared, how Uzumaki could bring mightiest of foes on their knees. You see, your magic power has been sealed in. Since you use magic for even most basic stuff, you are as big foe as a newborn baby. It's over, give up Riser and accept your defeat with honor. An elder who feared the Uzumaki and had sold them during the war, fearing vengeance at the hand of blonde Uzumaki, yelled in outrage, that boy, he knows Uzumaki seals, kill him, we cannot let him live, he is too dangerous to be left alive, we even all IED with the angels to eradicate the Uzumaki. We cannot let the cursed clan to come back to existence. Let's finish him before he becomes a bigger threat. An air of disbelief spread among everyone, but before anyone could react, Ingvild was upon the elder. She charged a spear of pure water in her hand and inserted it in the elder's heart. Soon after, spikes erupted from the spear and the elder's body was torn to shreds. The disbelief got even wilder. Multiple sets of bluish wings erupted from Ingvild's back, and then she spoke, her tone cold but filled with fury. People wanted to run just to get away from her wrath. I am Ingvild Leviathan, Queen of Naruto Uzumaki. Anyone who dares to even thinking of harming my king will be brought down, killed without mercy, shown not even an ounce of consideration. Do anyone holds the same ideals as this cockroach? She was covered completely in blood, a sight which made even the most tough warriors cringe. The other elders shouted in outrage and called for her blood. Lucy and Ravel was by her side in instant, with Lucy facing Serafal and Ravel facing Sirzex. All three of them raised their magic power, which shut everyone up. Ravel then also spoke in the same cold voice. As you all see, that cockroach admitted being a betrayer, which makes him a traitor, and clearly according to laws of underworld killing him is completely legal, and before any of you genius thinks his crime was not proven, he admitted it by his own mouth. Oh, and one more thing. If any one of you also think Uzumaki should be eradicated and were part of people who aided in the good deed, by all means let us know. We will be sure to use your heads as trophies. Lucy then added his sense. Let it be known the Uzumaki are back, stronger than before, and are out for blood. If you are the one who betrayed them, you have two options. 1. Accept your sin, live without your honor, and you will be forgiven. We promise to let you live. 2. Run and hide, and believe me, we will hunt you like the dogs you are. Personally, I would love you to go for second option, more fun for us. The silence that occurred was mind-shutting. No one can believe the turn of events. Many elders were white as a sheet, who were taken notice of. Sirzex tried to defuse the situation. There is need for any more violence. He accepted his guilt, and as Devil King the First would have executed him sooner than later, but next time wait for my verdict. Ingvild cleaned herself up using magic and then bowed a little. Understood, Lucifer-sama. One by one everyone started to turn towards watching Naruto, but a fact as instilled into their minds, seeing the brutality, never mess with an Uzumaki. This train of thought led to another shocking discovery. If one Uzumaki could do that much damage, what about a whole clan? Meanwhile, Riser was at Naruto's mercy, but still held up tight and shouted, "Never, I won't give up." Naruto sighed and said, "As much I would like to beat the living daylights out of you, I promised Ravel not to hurt you too bad, and I intend to keep my promise." Naruto was in front of Riser in an instant. A punch straight to face and a broken nose later, Riser was unconscious. The final announcement was made. Riser Phoenix retires, winner Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto then grabbed Riser and disappeared in a circle, and reappeared before Ravel. He gave Riser to Ravel, who started healing him. Naruto was suddenly tackled by Rias, who was hugging him with all her might. Tears were trickling down her face and she was chanting, "Thank you." Naruto smiled at her and ruffled her hair, earning a cute pout. Naruto said in a soft voice, "I promised, didn't I?" Riser, who had been healed, was wisely keeping his mouth shut courtesy of Ravel. Serafal then hugged Naruto and shouted, "Narutan, you are back, I missed you so much." Naruto replied, "I am back, Oba-chan, I missed you too." Everyone froze while Sirzex was trying to control his laughter but failing badly. Even Graphia was giggling silently into her hand. No one could believe that Naruto had just called the Satan whose temper was legendary a grandma, but to everyone's immense relief she just pouted and said, "Don't be mean, Narutan. Just call me Oni-san or Sarah-chan like you used to, and by the way, I am not that old, you are just a hatchling." Now it was Naruto's turn to pout. He said, "Don't call me that." Sirzex then also gave Naruto a hug. "It seems like you will be becoming my brother, huh, Naruto?" Naruto smilingly replied, "You do know, if only Rias wants it." The joyous moment was interrupted by Ravel vs. Kateria. Ch number 6, Ravel vs. Kateria. The joyous moment was interrupted by appearance of a magic circle. From it came out a tall bespectacled woman with a voluptuous figure. She had tan skin with long brown hair tied into a bun with a headset and purple eyes. She wore an extremely low-cut dress which had a high slit that exposed a large portion of her breasts. This was Kateria Leviathan, the descendant of the original Leviathan. She spoke. "You are finally back, Naruto. I was waiting for you to come back. Finally I have the chance to destroy you and make sure the traitor clan is finally extinct." Ingvi. LD with intention of facing her tried to move but was held back by Ravel, who responded, "This is Phoenix territory, so I will handle this, as she is invading my home." Ravel then announced coldly, "Kateria Leviathan. You are intruding the Phoenix territory. You are not welcome, leave or be destroyed." Kateria in response laughed, "Someone like you could not even harm a single hair on my head. I will have fun tearing you to pieces." Both of them took flight. Ingvild came to Naruto's side. Before she could speak, Naruto told her, yeah, I know. Lefei, a cute, foreign girl with a slim body, shoulder-length blonde hair and blue eyes of about 18 appeared in a magic circle. Her attire consisted of a sorceress-like dress with a huge blue hat, black bow and yellow stars with matching cape that had pink flower pattern. Naruto then instructed her, "On standby, Lefei." The girl gave a small nod and started watching the alteration. Naruto noticed Ingvild was quite tense. Trying to calm her down, Naruto spoke. "Calm down, Ingvild. I know you want to face her, but let's believe in Ravel. If there is even a small chance something could happen to Ravel, we will step in. For now let's make sure that no one is harmed in their battle." Naruto then said, "Kuroka, form a barrier. Make sure there are no unnecessary deaths." A magic circle appeared again, and this time came out a beautiful young woman with a voluptuous figure. Long black hair with split bangs, and hazel gold eyes with cat-like pupils. She wore a black kimono, a yellow obi, a set of golden beads, and an ornately detailed headband. The kimono featured a red interior and it was open at her shoulders, giving view to her large breasts. She was in her Nekomata form, which she chose to be in all the time, so she also had a pair of black cat ears and 2 black tails. The said girl compiled immediately and formed a large barrier that covered entire audience. Her appearance startled many devils. Soon whispering started due to appearance of a criminal stray devil, but no one was more surprised than Kaneko, who could not believe she was seeing her sister, who was supposed to be mad again. Riser and Lady Phoenix were worried aboo. Chi Ravel and voiced their concerns, which were waved off by Naruto. "Don't worry, just look at her go, and besides she can take care of herself." Surzek then voiced his own concerns. "Is it wise to let her fight alone?" Naruto again responded in a calm tone, "I know her, don't worry, she will be fine, and besides I think being a Phoenix makes you a little hot-headed. She is not stopping now." Ravel and Kateria stood face to face. Ravel, just to be sure, asked, "You sure you don't want to retreat?" Kateria responded, "After I destroy you and your pathetic king, I will destroy that bitch, Seraphal, and then the title that rightfully belongs to me will be mine." Ravel sighed, "So be it," and then started releasing magical power. Kateria in response released her own magical power, the enormous Amu. NTS they both were releasing were suffocating many low and mid-class devils. Kateria raises her hand and a magic circle appeared. From it came multiple orangish-black serpents made of magic. Ravel in response raised her own hand, which was covered in fire soon after. From it came Phoenix made of fire. The serpents and Phoenix collided and caused a huge explosion. This continued for a little while, with both of them moving at high speeds, firing phoenixes and serpents at each other, whose collisions were creating small craters. The audience was in shock. They were seeing someone go toe-to-toe with the descendant of a great Satan. Riser could believe how strong her little sister was and was having difficulty comprehending how she was capable of this much. Lord and Lady Phoenix, although as much shocked, looked on with a proud smile, while Naruto just stood behind Kuroka, helping her maintain the barrier alongside Lefei and Ingvild. If a person looked closely, he would notice small smiles on their faces. Kateria suddenly powered up and fired many blasts at once. Ravel's right eye became dark red and a spiky black ring formed around her pupil, which became diamond-shaped. Suddenly for Ravel everything became clear. She could even predict the path of all blasts, which were dodged easily by Ravel. She then smirked and responded, "Taking off the kid gloves, are we? Allow me to show you true power of a Phoenix." Suddenly temperature skyrocketed. Ravel's flames became white. The surrounding rocks started melting. The pressure exerted became so potent that even high-class devils were feeling the effects. Ravel raised her hand and started chanting, "Bow of judgment and arrow of punishment, come before me and allow me to annihilate sinners." A white bow with gold trimmings manifested in her hand and she calmly stated, "Justice of the X, devil slaying mode." Ravel suddenly fired hundreds of arrows made out of her fire on Kateria, who was having hard time dodging all of them. Ravel suddenly started manipulating the fire, which resulted in arrows following Kateria. The barrage didn't stop and the amount of fire arrows was increasing. Kateria was suddenly surrounded and got him with many arrows, which resulted in an explosion. The damage was increased due to devil-slaying properties of the bow. When the smoke cleared, you could clearly see that Kateria was on her last ropes. She was COV-ed with many second and even some third-degree buns. She shouted in outrage, "How dare you! I am Kateria Leviathan, the rightful owner of the underworld. I will show you what happened to those who stand in my way." Suddenly snakes appeared and bit her on the neck. Kateria became blue for a second, then suddenly powered up. An enormous amount of magical power gathered in her hand and a blast of energy was fired towards Ravel. Ravel, who thought fight was over, was caught off guard and was blown away, taking a direct hit. When explosion subsided, Ravel had many injuries littering her body, but the most disturbing thing was the look on her face, which showed untapped fury and rage. Ravel flew up slowly, her injuries being healed by her phoenix blood. Her eye remained red but her bow disappeared. The first time in the duration of entire fight Naruto was looking disturbed. Ingvild stated her worries, "Naruto, we will have to stop her if things get out of hand. We don't know when she will calm down." Everyone who heard her was confused to what was happening. Naruto replied, "No, we will be ready if things come to that." He then started giving orders, "Full power to barrier Kuroka. Lefay, stand by for any injuries. Lucy, Leviana, Ingvild, you three will freeze her if things come to that." As he said that, a beautiful buxom young woman in her 20s appeared. She had long flowing blonde hair and sapphire blue eyes. She was wearing a magician's robe with a hood. She was Leviana Rennie and took her place with Lucy and Ingvild just behind the barrier. "Yuma, Baiko, take care of Kateria if necessary." An almost otherworldly attractive young woman appeared. She had long back-length raven-colored hair with a golden bang and violet-colored eyes. She also had a D cup. She was wearing a black sleeveless jacket that has golden trimmings, a light gray-colored undershirt, dark-colored pants, and shoes. She was Yuma Amano. Another woman with large breasts appeared. She had short black hair and was dressed in ancient Chinese armor that was used during the Three Kingdoms period. Relaying necessary orders, Naruto shifted back to watching the fight. Searzex was watching in FASC I-Nation on how effective his godson was being. Serafal and Graphia, who were close to him, heard him saying, "And they say, my peerage is of monsters." Graphia couldn't help but chuckle while Serafal was laughing outright. Back in battle, Ravel's appearance changed. Her flames became crimson, which covered her arms and legs. Her blood-red wings became bigger and more prominent. She announced, "Crimson Flame Mode." Kateria fired a huge blast again, but Ravel disappeared and came behind Kateria. She hit her with a backhand which sent her flying. Kateria crashed into the ground and tried to get up, but Ravel was already on her. She hit her with a gigantic flame blast which sent her flying again. Kateria barely stood up and knew that her end was near and she would be damned if she went alone, so she extended her arms and captured Ravel. She prepared a suicide technique and shouted, "This is the end." Ravel responded, "Yes it is." And before Kateria could go any further, Ravel's flames became wilder, which disintegrated Kateria's arms. Ravel then charged crazy amount of magical power in both her hands. She then brought both her hands together and both fires merged. Ravel flew up and shouted, "Supernova." And a blast as big as Phoenix Castle descended on Kateria, who was vanquished by it before she even had a chance to react. Then an explosion occurred which created a crater with a diameter of several miles. Even though while fighting both Kateria and Ravel had moved several miles away, the shockwave was felt by audience. A magic circle appeared and Ravel disappeared. She reappeared in Phoenix Castle. Naruto was beside her in an instant and said, "Ravel, you okay?" Ravel snapped, "Yeah, why?" Naruto replies, "Nothing, it's just your hair is all messed up." Ravel calmed down a little and noted her appearance. Her clothes were torn from many places while at other places there were black marks, her hair were all disoriented too. Her aura was suffocating many while others were looking at her in awe. Finally Ravel calmed down enough that her flames returned to normal yellow. LaFay put her hands near Ravel and a yellow shield-like projection appeared which started fixing Ravel. Few moments Ravel was completely fixed up. Ravel saw that all others were on guard. You all look ready to fight. Ingvild shrugged. Well, you never know, after all you were being pretty explosive. Ravel. Well, I was in better control this time so it was much easier to calm down. Riser, who had been listening silently, asked, how are you this strong? You were much stronger than even Riser. Ravel replied, we may be Phoenix but that does not mean that we get stronger just by sitting around. Me and everyone trained till we collapsed and what you saw was the result. Riser looked thoughtful while Naruto announced, since we are no longer celebrating Rias and Riser engagement, let's celebrate Ravel's return and also the day she created a nice hole in Phoenix estate. Naruto's peerage laughed while Ravel blushed a little. She then responded, well, at least I didn't go all crazy on elders. Naruto asked, what do you mean? Ravel replied, some insect wanted you killed and admitted that he betrayed the Uzumaki. So our dear Ingvild made sure that even his body didn't remain and we kind of also announced the return of Uzumaki. We'll tell you the details later. Naruto smiled mischievously and said in a husky voice, My quite feisty, I will make sure to award you later appropriately. Ingvild got a pink tint on her cheek while others laughed again. Sirzek spoke to Serafal, they have grown. Serafal only replied, yeah, and then continued watching their antics. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.